Notable East acquisitions when it came to the trade deadline. You see them there. Anthony Mantha of the Capitals, Kyle Palmieri, Travis Zajac, a little bit before the trade deadline, but within the vicinity. Jeff Carter is now a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Taylor Hall and Mike Riley. Hall notably coming from the Sabres on that one-year contract. And here's how the standings look. So, if you look at the top 4 teams, only 10 points separate them, particularly Islanders, Penguins, and Capitals. Only 4 points separate the top 3 teams. You see the Rangers and the Flyers trying to make a push, but feels like it's those 4. So let's kick it off first with the Capitals, the team that is in first place. Anthony Mantha, big deal here, lots. Clearly a team that was looking to improve. Your thoughts on what Mantha can provide for Washington?
Big swing. A lot of people said they paid too much. I look at this trade as 2 trades, really. When I look at Richard Panik, they were trying to extract themselves from a contract for a player that I know well. We drafted him when I was in Tampa. He's a good player, but I think his salary was outpacing the quality of work he was giving back. And they just, when you're as tight as the Capitals are and have limited room, you got to do something like that. A second-round pick went to that. A first and Verana for Mantha seems high. I'm okay with it. Anthony Mantha has a high ceiling. We'll be able to judge this one down the road, but it was a great start for him already. He looks like a guy that could be a game changer for them. They have designs on making it to the Cup. This is what they felt they had to do. I like the risk. We'll evaluate it as we go. Detroit, on the other hand, completely fits with their overall plan, which is more quantity necessarily than hoping or betting on the draft lottery. They haven't had good luck in that area, unfortunately. It's not how it was 10 years ago.
Sure.
It's not how it was when Pittsburgh drafted their players, or Washington, or L.A., or Chicago. We changed the rules. So I think their play is a little bit more quantity, and I think this really helped them in that regard.
No question.
As far as the next team, Islanders, Palmieri, and Zajac, I mean, this is an example we see. Maybe a year ago, you go, wow, Islanders ahead of schedule, Final Four team. Now they're not sneaking up on anybody. That's a lot of depth now as far as their forwards, their top 9 are concerned.
Yeah, exactly. And Lou Lamoriello going back to the well that he helped build, really, with the New Jersey Devils. And 2 familiar faces if you're a Devils fan anywhere here in Metro New York and Jersey. And Travis Zajac, my former teammate with the Devils, who Lou Lamoriello had there, and Kyle Palmieri bring veteran stability, bring professionalism, and they can slot in and bring experience to that group with Barry Trotz and the coaching staff. Listen, the Islanders are the team not enough people are speaking about for me. And the Islanders, to me, are very much a Stanley Cup contender. Yes, they have the electrifying Barzal, but they have a lot of good pieces in this group. Brock Nelson has played really well, especially in the absence of Anders Lee. Some of the young guys have come on, Wahlstrom, Bellows, etc. I can go through this lineup. This is a much deeper lineup now. You look at that center ice position for them too, by the way. Look at that center ice position, and Travis Zajac is a center himself as well. So they're sitting pretty right now. I like their moves by the great Lou Lamoriello, no question.
Lou's getting it done once again for the Islanders, pushing all their chips to the table. Jeff Carter with Pittsburgh. Interesting acquisition. Guy who's won Stanley Cups with the Kings, now in his mid-30s. What can he provide for this Pittsburgh team?
I like the move. It was a little bit outside the box. It's not anything anyone was talking about. Ron Hextall obviously knows him well, as does Brian Burke. Sidney Crosby knows him well as well.
Exactly.
Because they played together in the World Juniors a long time ago. Perhaps the best World Junior team ever in the history of the tournament. So what will Jeff give them? Well, he's a guy that can easily play on the top power play, but probably gives them more depth on a second unit. Gives them the flexibility to play in the top 6 as a winger. Not going to play as a forward, but we'll see what happens down the road with Malkin as we see him slot in at the second position here. I just like the optionality for Mike Sullivan. It gives him options. It puts a guy in the room, another guy that's won a couple of cups. I think it was a very strong move for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I agree. It's a can't-miss move for Pittsburgh, and a guy that's played internationally numerous times, won at every level, and also the versatility, as you mentioned, in the lineup. But what I like is when Geno Malkin's healthy, and if and when he's healthy and galloping, you can conceivably go Crosby, Malkin, Jeff Carter down the middle.
Exactly.
I don't think that there's a better trio than that in the East right now.
Yeah, that's pretty
in the event that everybody's healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully that health comes. Jeff Carter, by the way, earlier today, NHL Now, on joining the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I love my time in LA and made some lifelong friends and whatnot, and was able to have a lot of success there. But, I'm excited to be here. You look at this team and, they're right in the mix and have as good a shot as anybody to compete this year. So, I'm excited to get going. Getting to know everybody here and looking forward to practice tomorrow.
All right, you guys espouse the virtues of Jeff Carter. Weeks, when you analyze the team, what's your biggest concern when it comes to the Penguins? They've obviously been a lot different once Hexie and Burke took over.
I think the biggest thing for them right now is really hinging on the health of Evgeny Malkin. Geno Malkin, that's the biggest thing when I look at this team. And reason being, he's a game changer. He's a future Hall of Famer. And I had him as one of the top 100 players to ever play in the NHL on my list. So all that to say, he's a guy that can take games over himself. And as mentioned, that's a matchup nightmare if you are the opposition. And Mike Sullivan's able to say, hey, listen, Sid, you're going. Okay, Sid, no, you're not going. Gino, you're going. Okay, Jeff Karts, you're going. I mean, that's as deep as they were, really, for the most part, when they won those back-to-back cups. So my real concern with them, and this is the only concern at this point, will be the health of Geno Malkin. That's it. But if he's healthy, it's a game changer.
He's not young. He's 34. He's going to be 35. But I still think there's another playoff run or two left in him.
Yeah.
I really do. He's a big man, so talented. He's a game changer. And him, along with Crosby, is a combination that everybody's come to love over the last 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. How many years
do
we have to keep going to get it in? It's been incredible. Kind of seeing that dynamic right now out in Edmonton.
Yeah.
To me, that's kind of Draisaitl, McDavid are a version of what Crosby and Malkin started off as.
Electrifying offensive players, hopefully win 3 cups. But I know where you're going with it.
You got the consummate player in Connor. He's just doing everything right. And you got Draisaitl, who's a little bit more freelance. And that's how I look at Geno.
I like that comp.
And it paid huge dividends for them over the years. So maybe it will for the Edmonton Oilers.
And all 4 MVPs, too, right? Have been league MVPs.
That's a good point.
Right? All won Hart trophies. So,
pretty incredible.
Good point, Lots.
Last time we talked in the East as far as trade deadline concerns, Boston Bruins. So Taylor Hall, the major one here, Curtis Lazar, Mike Riley as well. Boston starts out weeks, they're the #1 team, at least in the East. Then they slip terribly. We're really slumping. Now it looks like they've kind of righted the ship. They actually have the edge over the Rangers and the Flyers. But Hall is the big one here. Listen, this guy's a former Hart Trophy winner. He has not panned out the last couple of seasons. Maybe he gets revitalized in Boston. And I would think he needs to prove something. He's a UFA.
All those things make sense. You don't see him as traditional number 4. He's rocking 71 and actually rocking it well. But here's the thing. I'm looking to see the twinkle, the sparkle in the eye of Taylor Hall that I saw from him when he was going at his best in Edmonton, and more importantly, that I saw from him when he was a Hart Trophy winner here in New Jersey with the Devils. That's what I'm looking to see him rediscover. That jam, the pace, the hunger, every shift going over the boards, get me the puck, get me the touches. That's what I want to see rediscovered for him. And, hey, listen, let's be honest, too. The simple fact that this is an expiring contract for him. He's in his contract year. So he can erase the slate for what's been a disappointing year for him, really a disappointing year and a half, by having an outstanding offseason, or postseason here, rather, with the Bees. But I'd also say Curtis Lazar gives them something, too, because they struggled in their bottom 6.
Yeah, they just needed some depth, to be honest with you. They lost Noel Acciari, a guy that was a valuable player down on that bottom line, and who could bump up to the third line as well. Hopefully Lazar can answer that. In terms of Taylor Hall, there's just one thing I'm looking for him, and that's for that leg strength to return. When I see that, I'll feel good. I didn't feel it. I thought it was a great deal for the Bruins.
Sure.
You know, this is a worthwhile risk for them. It didn't cost them maybe as much as some people thought it might, but in the end, it's a position that they needed to address. They did that. Now it's up to Taylor Hall to deliver. I'm concerned, I've said it before, because of COVID. He was a guy that had it, like 2 other players. I've said Zibanejad already, and we can add Samsonov to that as well.
Right.
A guy who hasn't quite had that pop.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of erraticness in his game. So when I see Taylor Hall flying around, I'm going to feel really good about his game. That guy that you know that's a beast. He's a little bit on the edge, playing reckless. I haven't seen that out of him this year. I'm hoping that getting with a veteran group, playing on a team that's headed for the playoffs, lifting him up a little bit, he might get some energy from that. But I still question whether or not he's at where he needs to be. That is just a theory. We'll find out. But I watched every shift of his first game. I like some parts of it. I haven't seen him back to where he was.
And one last thing to focus on here is the New York Rangers, and not necessarily in terms of trade deadlines, but do they have enough right now? They're 4 points back of the Boston Bruins. They're 2 points up from the Philadelphia Flyers. Lots, obviously, Philly has fallen off. They had a disastrous March. I mean, their save percentage is .876 for the year. That's the worst in hockey. Penalty killing's bad, etc. For the Rangers, though, you mentioned the fact they've had a boost, not only with Zibanejad revitalized, but obviously Artemi Panarin is back. Can the Rangers do enough to catch Boston?
They cannot do that without help from Boston.
Yes.
You know, even if they go on an incredible run and, say, lose 3 games, the math is dramatically against them. Even for a scenario like that, unfortunately for the Rangers, they had a slow start. I do think Zibanejad, as I just mentioned with Hall, was affected, a little bit of COVID hangover. But overall, when I watch the Rangers, I feel really good about their team.
Yeah.
I like their young players. I think they're coming. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. I think it's doubtful just by the math, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. But I still like them. I like everything they're doing. I like the direction they're headed in. I think their future's incredibly bright. They've rolled out this incredibly young D, and they've withstood the pressure much better than I thought they would, to their credit. It's tough to roll out that many young D. Adam Fox has exploded. I'm a big-time believer in the New York Rangers.
Yeah, I'm bullish on them, too. I mean, Fox has become a star player for them, and he will be a superstar in this league when you look at the numbers that he's putting up. And here he is here out of Harvard. He just did an amazing job of making plays and being comfortable and being a high-skilled defenseman so far. By the way, in New York at the world's most famous arena, Keandre Miller, too, has been awesome. Steady, consistent, smooth, looks self-assured. Looks as though he's been in the NHL for a long time. He's been very good for them. Up front, of course, Artemi Panarin. The best start in the first 100 games in the history of any player in the New York Rangers in terms of points production. That's explosive to me. I mean, when you think of the players, Mark Messier and Jaromir Jagr, two of my former teammates, for Panarin to eclipse them lots.
He earned it.
Totally.
Every night. This guy shows up every night. Everybody used to think Patrick Kane carried him when he came into the league.
Yeah.
That's not true. He went to Columbus and played just as well. He didn't have Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
I think Patrick Kane really appreciated playing with him, to be honest with you.
He totally did. No
he hasn't been shy about it. So he's full value to me. He's a signing that cost the Rangers a ton. He's worth every penny.
Big time.
Final thought. Who's that best team in that division? Islanders, Penguins, Capitals, Rangers, Bruins?
Game to game for me, it's the Islanders. Game to game. And the reason why I say that, and though there are other teams that can outscore them. Don't get me wrong. There are other teams. Pittsburgh can outscore them when they're going. Washington, same thing. But the thing that I like about the Islanders is consistency. I know what I'm getting game to game, shift to shift for the most part. It's a testament to their team. Lou Lamoriello, I can't say enough about him, and Barry Trotz and that coaching staff, I can't say enough about them either.
They're seeking their first division title since 87-88, going way back to the Patrick division.
Oh,
Go ahead, Lutz.
No, and it's hard because Pittsburgh belongs obviously there, as you just mentioned, and certainly the Islanders, and even Boston, to that matter. But I would take the Washington Capitals when it's all said and done. I'm going to bet on the magic of Peter Laviolette, that he summons from the gods one more run with a new team to the finals.
He's done it before.
That would be incredible
Three
this year,
times,
because it really, truly is more difficult this year than ever, in my opinion, to get out of that division.
Yeah, let me piggyback that for a point. Sorry, what I love about that, too, what I will say about the Caps is they do have that jam and physicality to go with their skill, right? They got a lot of jam in that group. There's a lot of toughness. Ovi plays a hard game. Tom Wilson is the X factor physically with skill. There's TJ Oshie. There's a lot of jam in that group. So I give them that because not a lot of teams have that stylistically right now. So that goes a long way. But I'm still really bullish on the Islanders, though.
87-88 Islanders. LaFontaine, Pat Flatley. I mean, we're going back. All right.
Everybody's partying on Long Island right now. Jericho Turnpike. After I said that, they're going crazy on the Jericho Turnpike right now.